In this episode, we discuss motivation versus aim. How do you really get to your goals? We reveal our secrets. Welcome to the Neat Athlete Podcast, a podcast discussing healthy habits, lifestyle design, and all the controversial fitness thoughts we have. Let's do this.
Okay, so the question is, what do we say? The question is, what's a example of a time or an instance where someone was obviously relying on motivation and like staying motivated or being motivated for something versus just call it aim for now. It might change. I think aim is probably the most accurate way to say it, though.
Okay, so we're saying like motivation versus aim and like give an example of that.
Yeah, and like where's a time where you think and if you can find something that maybe it was better to have motivation, that would be fine too. Like a counter example. But you said you could think of something.
So this is a fun one for me, right? Because okay, I'm 36 years old or something like that. I'm married for like 7 years, and I've been with my wife for almost 12 years now, right? And so her and I right now are working out, and we've done this quite a few times over our life. And bless you, bless you. Uh, the background in Zoom is awesome because it just takes out that sneeze. Like I don't even hear it when you do that.
I know, right?
So back to the story, like and so we've been together for so long and we've gone through so many workout plans, right? And we've had this conversation, this motivation versus aim conversation all the time. And I think and it's hard to be a coach and work with your wife on things because you want to really like dig into the whys, but you also don't want to like put too much pressure on the relationship or anything like that. And so it's just
Jazz straight up one time told me like, don't use your coach voice on me. Stop talking to me like a coach right now.
and it's true though, we shouldn't. And it's
I was straight out of the mill though. Like I just got off the line. I got like a fresh certification. Like that thing was still freaking crisp, man. I was like, this is how I'm gonna live my life.
right. So we're like a few weeks into a strongman workout program, right?
Mm-hmm.
And currently
Okay.
right now, right? And it's funny because we go through this conversation every time. Here it is. So in July there's a strongman competition in like our small town that we're gonna that's like our goal, right? Like we're gonna try and join that and just have fun with it. And the second both of us do the same thing when we start working out is that we only care about like weight loss because that was the biggest part of our, like, at least of my journey. I mean, I'm different now, but like I always go back to like
Vanity is a big part of working out for most people, I would say.
it was the
Right?
first part for me because I lost a ton of weight when I was young from working out, and
Mm-hmm.
it's changed, but it's always a thought like, oh, I gotta lose weight, like that's why I get in these workout programs. And
Me
we've
and
been
you are both
tracking.
former fat kids, by the way.
Yeah, I know, man.
I'm a fat kid.
Boo. I still have cake upstairs though,
Oh
so
yeah.
still the same.
Let them eat cake.
Exactly. I think you should. But anyway, this is I'm long-winded story
Right.
here. And so basically, we think, okay, we gotta lose weight, but really every week we're like, we just have to refocus on the main goal, which is actually getting stronger and getting better at the sport of strongman and not like losing weight. So our normal motivation are these like little things like looking at the scale and being like, oh, I just lost a pound, I just lost 2 pounds, when that's not really the goal. So losing that weight really has no value towards your main goal. And so our aim here is to be awesome at that strongman competition in July. Our goal is not to, and that is not like, our motivation is not to lose weight or anything throughout. It's to get to that point. So
Mm-hmm.
we have to focus on the aim for us more than the motivation.
Yeah. Well, because like the motivation, for example, in this point would be like weight loss, right? I don't know if we've talked about this before a
Okay.
little bit, but like the scale being a useful tool for like overall health, for gauging overall health, you know? So losing weight for most people can help your health. Um but there has to be a time scale for that statement, if that makes sense. So
Yes.
like losing weight and keeping the weight off. Okay. Because if you just lose the weight, but then you gain the weight back, that's actually less healthy for you.
Exactly.
Like so you it's better it would have been better if you just stayed there.
Okay.
Like a harsh reality check,
Sure. Yeah.
basically.
Very true.
Um, but them's the facts. So so like the with that time scale in mind, like the scale that you're looking at, like it should be somewhere between a half a pound to 2 pounds per week max on average over a month's period of time for most people,
Sure. Yeah.
which is not a lot.
What, that half to 2 pounds?
Yeah, that like I say a half a pound a week.
Sure. Yeah. That is what you're supposed to tell people, right? But what
Right.
happens the first week or two?
Well, the first couple weeks you lose a lot of weight, right?
Right.
And then so you got to think of that time scale again. So I would say like within a month's time, you want to average somewhere between a half a pound to 2 pounds. And a lot of times you'll be closer to that 2 pounds basically per week that first month,
Mhm.
and then it'll taper off. And then you got a higher likelihood that the habits and the changes you're making are not drastic habits and changes,
Right. Right.
which
They're the
means if
baby
they're
steps.
not right, and if they're not drastic, they're going to last. And if they're going to last, you're not going to go up and down with the weight as much,
Exactly.
basically.
So can someone get on the scale and bring this back to motivation and aim here, but I do have a
Yeah.
question real quick. Like, can someone get on the scale after that month and see that they've lost, say, like 25 pounds, and can they then be like, hey, I'm going overboard. I need to take a step back a little bit and kind of change some things?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. For sure. For sure. And like that's for like maybe 50-60% of the population. So a good majority, but not a large majority. But they like the outliers, I would say, people who are like morbidly obese,
Right.
or even more than morbidly. I don't even know if there's a category after, but I think it's pretty 100, 200 pounds or more that you have to lose
Yeah.
would probably be a good indicator.
Sure.
Those people are going to lose more weight, like end over end, basically. But even for them, I would say there's a governor in terms of like weight per month. But it
I
might be
think
a little bit. It would probably be. I would suspect it was higher.
right. And it would take a couple months for it to kind of level out a little bit, and then they should figure it out from there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. That's just the whole coaching thing, right? You have to put them through each month because it's going to change up and down, and you just kind of have to like tweak things to kind of get it where you want it to be.
Right. Right. So, and you're just trying to keep it. If you can keep it in that range, you're going to have much more lasting results a lot of times. And the point for like aim versus motivation with that, like that a lot of times levels out with a lot of people I see when they're not even looking at the scale. They're just working on like a performance measure goal, or like something that will make them move or make them eat better or sleep better, or stress less, but as a side effect almost,
Yeah.
like going and playing a sport, for example,
Right.
going on a walk with a friend more, putting fruits and stuff like that on the counter because your aim is to like eat more vegetables, for example, or more fruits.
Right. Right. Okay.
Like actionable aims, especially, you know, things that require action often can be
Okay.
useful.
Yeah, I've definitely noticed over the holiday period, like things like having like cupcakes or anything on the counter is bad for for the habits because it's almost like an automatic thing you're grabbing. And
Yeah.
it's smart. I should just start replacing those with bananas every day. Or the like we had the conversation about the chocolates in the Christmas, like the 24 days of Christmas. And yeah,
Hmm.
we should just put everyone we should just do this every month and just put like a banana in there or something like that. So that you get like the habit every day.
I know, right? Yeah. There's a lot of things like that. I feel have you heard of James Clear,
Sure, sure.
the
Atomic.
Atomic Habits guy?
Yeah.
So he talks about like identifying with the you that you're going to be,
Okay.
basically when you reach the aim that you're aiming for, the goal that you're aiming for.
So
And sometimes like visualizing that can give you the habits that you want to aim for. Um Unless you're just like thoroughly misinformed.
sure,
You
absolutely.
know? But if you can Google pretty well, I would say. You Google, if you're an average Googler, sit
Yeah.
down. I'm just assuming averages here. So you could probably, yeah, you could probably visualize like what do I look like when I'm able to do all those things, you know? What does my day look like? How do I act? What are my routines? What are my habits? All that kind of stuff. And then you can almost work your way backwards,
Sure, sure.
you know? I don't think I've told a lot of people this, but I actually did like a drawing at one point before I lost all the weight.
Yeah.
And I did just like this like because I was on the football team, and I was thinking about like senior year and all that kind of stuff. So I did just a drawing for senior year. What
Yeah.
it would be like if I did all the things for senior year and whatnot. And that's the year I started losing the weight. And that was really useful for like keeping my focus on the right things.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Yeah. That was like your aim.
Right. That was my aim.
Okay.
Exactly. So that was but that helped me like get a good view, if that makes sense.
Sure,
You
sure.
know, it helped me visualize it a lot more.
Absolutely.
And I think that can be really useful because sometimes it's hard to have a like a strong vision, you know, when people talk about visualization.
Right, right. Yeah, like so if you have like an idea of your future, like I heard this cool thing and we might have talked about this before is that you actually create instead of in your mind just thinking about like we were just talking about, you create a video of what you want to be in the future or like
Hmm.
your aim,
Hmm.
right? Like and so it's that same as like your drawing. And I think there's uses for that drawing and that paper, itself. But I think it's
Hmm.
really cool to like put this movie in your head and like have it produced and everything of like who you want to be, what you want to do, and then going into the atomic habits like it's like almost building like that system of
Hmm.
different habits around your life to get to that movie in your head or like
Right.
that drawing you made. There's all these little tools you can use to do that.
I really think essentially it's a story, you know, and like yeah, different people have different mediums,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
yeah.
So how do you identify your medium could be a whole other
Well,
whole
I
other
think
thing.
I think that would be easy though in the world of media we're in. Like you do you like reading? Do you like podcasts? Do you like watching movies? Like
Mhm.
I think if
What
you
do
know
you like is a good question to ask,
yeah,
right?
yep, exactly.
What do you enjoy?
What do you enjoy?
What does Marie Kondo say? Where's Marie Kondo?
I do not know.
What brings you joy? What
What
brings you
brings
joy?
Oh yeah, yeah,
The
that's right.
minimalist who recently was on Parenting Magazine saying essentially, I might be butchering this. I'm sorry if I am, but it seems like she said, once you have children, especially more than one,
Yeah.
fuck all that.
No, she didn't.
She didn't say fuck all that, but essentially, essentially,
We use our cleaning as neat around here. Like Amber and I are pretty focused on keeping the house clean,
mm-hmm.
also trying to get our kids to be self-sustainable,
Helpers. Yep.
but they're not yet. But so we try and lead by example, which
Mm-hmm.
puts a lot of crappy work on us. But I mean, it'll work out, I think, in the long run. I'm not
Right.
at all a pro at this, but that's like our thoughts.
Yeah, young kids
Yeah.
especially. Like you got to basically, yeah, you got to say, you that is a very long term aim there,
Yes. Yeah.
very long term.
But if you
That
ever
requires constant, daily, daily work. I would say.
I agree. And I try and do every single time it's clean. I'm like, don't you enjoy this clean floor? And now you can play with all your toys. And then I really try, like, I'm saying though, it's starting to work. Like one of my 2-year-old picked up some toys today and put it in the basket. So
All right, all right.
we'll see. That's my aim, is to get them to clean up for themselves, because my motivation is I'm too tired from
Right, right.
from
But
doing
you
it.
can't rely on that motivation that you're too tired because that don't mean shit when you're a parent of young
Yeah.
children.
Always too tired.
I've never heard that ever before from a parent ever. If we could solve that, I think we'd have a very successful podcast. I don't have much for that one.
Oh yeah, yeah. That's not happening.
Yeah.
Just there's not enough coffee in the
Stay in our lane, basically. I would
Yes,
say.
yes. It is a fun one though. I mean, I play around with that. I mean, that's got to be a self-experimentation that you do a lot. We'll have to talk about that on maybe our second self-experimentation episode.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Oh, so that was a very roundabout way to give my example, but I have an example for motivation versus aim, for example,
Okay.
and it was with a new client, and we were doing just a general assessment, and we were working on like what kind of things she wants to do, and I thought she was a great example because she never really has had a regular workout routine before. But I from talking to her, she seems to have a active lifestyle just because she like walks a lot of places and lives in the city.
Okay. Okay.
So she's got like a an active base for someone who hasn't worked out very much ever.
Okay.
You know,
Like
has
not
just
much resistance training, just kind of
right, but walking,
naturally.
yeah, walking around and eats pretty well, so she doesn't have a lot of extra weight on her. But see, and there goes when we say it too, when we talk about it. Doesn't have a lot of extra body fat on her,
Right.
I would say. And but the first thing that we talked about was like weight loss, for example.
Sure.
And when I asked her what would be better if you lost weight or lost body fat, and immediately she was like body fat for sure.
Right.
Um, but it's harder to get body fat, you know, and weight is like a slight indicator of body fat loss when you maybe get stronger in the gym, but you're losing weight.
Right.
I would say there's a pretty good chance your body fat has gone down.
Yep.
So we talked about that. And then we talked about actually getting on the scale and checking the weight. And that was not something she really wanted to do, basically,
Right. Which
you
is
know,
fine. Which is fine.
which is fine. Exactly. And so I just thought it was a really good example because almost inherently a lot of people get that kind of phobia because of like a false indicator, or like not a very good indicator, you know? Like
Yeah,
a like if I think of it like aim, because like you're shooting an arrow, but your aim is just a little bit off,
sure.
you know?
Yeah.
Um and then that really hurts your motivation. And your
I-
motivation goes down because you think you're aiming at the right thing, and like because it's not exactly like true, then you're gonna go on a different path.
Yeah. Like, like deep down, you still think it's this other thing, and it's tough to realign your values or what you've thought of for so long when you're starting these new habits or this new journey for her.
Right, right. And since she's new, it's I feel like it's kind of like the job of the coach to help her like find that path a little bit easier, you know? So we just talked about getting like neck circumference. You could do a neck circumference measurement. You could just get like a certain pair of clothes that you know is tight right now,
Yeah.
and see if it's loose later. We can come back and check on it later in the year.
Right. Right.
A lot of times you just notice it anyhow, you
Right.
know. But how about we just work on, okay, what are some things that when you do this you feel better, basically. And her main goal is really not weight loss, it comes out, but her main goal is like overall health,
Sure.
you
Sure.
know. But the first
Usually,
thing that comes up is weight loss, which is kind of funny to me. But
right.
then later, the overall health, it just kind of, and I try not to like put words in people's heads, but that happens pretty often, I would say.
That's because weight loss is not a sustainable like thing forever. And but so
Yeah,
many
you can't lose weight forever. You die.
Well, but so many
Literally.
people like in the fitness industry, it's sold to you as a 3-month thing. It's like
Mhm.
3 months you are going to lose weight. Period. Like even probably on half of our websites, it says that kind of stuff
Mhm.
because that's how people think. But we're not. But like losing weight is only to get to the point where you're working out for total health, and as soon as people like go through at least one cycle of like quote unquote losing weight and get to a point where they have to stay healthy, and then how many people redo that cycle multiple times, because the goal is not lose weight, and that's how we learn how to work out, is to lose weight, where the goal should be always, and I'm not saying all but always, but it gets to the point where it's always it's
Unless you're like a elite athlete, where basically they have said that that they would rather die young and get a medal versus live a longer, healthier life with no medal, you know?
right, right.
Unless you're that kind of crazy, I would say, which I love, but still,
Like
yeah.
a year of working out looks more of like, 2 months of fat loss, and then 5 months of kind of like a fluctuating system, and then a couple months of gaining, and then a couple months of fat loss. Like it's not the same thing or all the time. It
Yeah,
can be.
there's a rhythm.
Yep.
Like, we like music for a reason.
Right.
I think I
it's
think
it's
the two are related. I
it's
think
natural. It's
it's
natural.
natural.
Yeah.
Yeah, like you're not gonna have like just a linear path, and if you do have a linear path, you're gonna be either an extreme outlier, or just the time is not caught up yet, basically.
Yeah.
And I would hope for the former. I would hope you're an extreme outlier, but I've seen too many of the latter, I would
Yeah.
say, for that to be the case. This just came and turned into like a weight loss as a motivation bashing basically. That
Yeah.
drives me the most crazy in terms of like what's the most likely aim,
Sure.
that's just off.
Right. You think
And
it's
it's
probably
this
weight loss.
and it's this motivation to lose weight.
Right.
Yeah. Just for this, almost for the sake of that's what you're supposed to do,
Yeah.
because it only takes like 5 minutes in a conversation to redact that. basically.
That's like it's my natural go-to before my trainer lens comes in and says, "Oh wait, you need to do this instead." Like
Right.
it's always like, "Oh, I gotta lose weight," and I think that's because when I was younger, I was always the fat guy,
Hmm.
and so that's my personal like go-to reaction is the fat loss, and I think whoever has was groomed to that. And if you ever have a conversation of like with like say people who are groomed to like playing football or like different sports in high school and college that you're involves going to the weight room and gaining muscle, like you'll have the same like they're always like, oh, I need to gain weight, I need to gain weight, I need to gain weight. And I think it's just like what you learn kind of at the beginning is always that first lens until you have any kind of epiphany or anything.
Yeah, yeah, a little bit of, you gotta have a little bit of a breakthrough, I
Yeah,
would say,
yeah.
which is kind of like getting through the learning curve. You know, you gotta probably eat shit for a little bit, basically. It sucks because um, if you're doing it right, you might eat shit for a little bit. If you're doing it wrong, you're definitely gonna eat shit for a little bit. So either way, for a tiny bit, you have no clue whether you're doing it right or wrong. You're just eating shit,
Right,
basically.
right. So if
Which is why
anyone
you hire a coach.
yeah, that's why if anyone tells you that they're gonna change your life in 2 or 3 months, it's crazy to me.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Okay, so motivation, a little bit. I gotta backtrack on motivation a little bit though. So like motivation isn't all bad. It's just that it tends to be waning and undulating, um, basically. And ideally you kind of ride that wave, but you ride it in a like responsible way. You
Right.
ride it like an adult, you know, instead of someone who's just trying to like do whatever they want and hope they get results. You know,
Absolutely.
like someone with a plan. You ride it like someone with a plan. Because if you don't, you're just gonna get smashed every time that motivation wave goes up and down, and you are not like timed with it at all to catch it at all.
Right. And you have to understand going into it that it is going to be kind of like a wave.
Right.
Right,
Right.
right.
And you're it's the thing that is motivating you now um will eventually change. How long it takes to change,
Right, right. Well,
you
I
know?
think this goes into a good rule for like the motivation and that's that oh wait, first hold on. I had this quote that I've had up for a while that I wanted to say that's all about this. This is a Seneca philosophy quote, like talking about aim, right? And
Okay.
that is you must know for which harbor you are headed if you are to catch the right wind to get you there.
Yes.
And so basically like it's talking about like what we've been talking about is that you have that aim, which is where you're going,
Podcast over, done. That's all you need to know.
but but the wind is blowing back and forth like that. And so that it's just this is another visualization, like the wind is
Yeah.
going back and forth, and that's how you're undulating
Right.
through the harbor to get to the next port that you're going to.
Right. Yeah. Agreed. Because like you have seasons, like you can't stop the world from spinning. I know that sounds really cliche, but if we want to get to the root of the matter, I mean, you have, how far astrophysics do you want to go? You can't help but stop the sun from going around. I mean, the Earth from going around the sun.
Right, right,
You can't stop the galaxy from spinning.
right, right.
I feel like a Pink Floyd song as I continue this.
So what is good motivation then? Like what is good motivation?
I would say
Or
like
is that the wrong
clean
term?
burning motivation in a way is
Yeah.
how I think of it. Things that are kind of cliche.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
the cliche things are cliche for a reason. If it feels a little corny, you're probably in the right place.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
You'd be amazed at how often you need to be reminded of that
Yeah.
because our priorities are the things we spend the most time with in terms of our actions, but those aren't always the things that we like to think we prioritize,
Right, right, right,
you know?
right.
So, yeah.
So when we're setting up, so what I was going to say earlier is like that big rule, like when you're setting up, like say a new program or you're starting this like this new port that you're sailing to, right? Is
Mhm.
that you have to plan accordingly to like your worst, least motivated point, like on the way to the other side, like
Yeah, or
on,
even just, like, mentally, it helps to just know that, like, it's gonna come, that's normal, it might take more time than you think, it might take less time than you think.
yeah,
There are, like, points where we'll be like, "Okay, we need to, like, course change course, like, immediately," you
yeah,
know? But, like, we know when that time is, and we'll tell you, you know? Other than that, like, just ride those waves, baby. Like,
right, right, right.
hold on tight, ride those waves, and we're gonna try and make it through.
Man, for me, I'm like, I'm so organized. I'm just trying to think of examples like for people to hear about, right? Like, so
Right.
for me, I
Do you do a planning? Do you do, like, weekly planning, by the way?
I'm pretty good with planning. I at least do daily planning.
You do daily planning,
I try and
okay,
wake up early and
and just
like
write out what you're gonna do for the day. Sometimes I feel like that's better than weekly planning.
Yeah, like so. Well, okay, I can tell you exactly how I did my weekly planning real quick. So, like, I had Monday through Friday, and I just put one word for each day,
Mhm,
like what my goals were. And I think like on Monday was podcast, Tuesday, like I'm doing like all these projects right now. I'm like sanding a dresser, so and I put like dresser on Tuesday, hang lights for my parents Wednesday, and just a different task each day. And those
mhm,
are my main things. And then usually I wake up in the morning and I'm usually the first one up or sometimes second, but like and I'll usually think about like what I'm gonna do through the day.
mhm,
Because at work I was super organized.
right.
Now that I'm kind of like at home and I don't have like a full work schedule with clients right now, that like I'm not, I'm kind of free and so my
That's kinda
organization.
why I'm curious about this too, because I feel like you would notice more, like, the less, planned out you are, the harder it is for you to, like, stay healthy, if that makes sense.
For sure. I had to start like so one of my big things are these workout programs that are for people who are tired and have like long days and it's just like an easy program to kind of keep you at a good base, right? Like
Mhm,
through your worst days. Like we're talking about, right? It's like it's my workout plan for when your aim is to be healthy, but your motivation is like dwindling. But I noticed that like I was getting that due to the fact that I am home with the kid is that like I needed like something harder in my life than like my little workouts. So I really had to commit to like a long-term workout plan. And this has definitely boosted my motivation and putting that aim for something fun that I've never done, like a strongman competition.
right.
Even though it's just like a kind of like a local one, it's still very it's an
You wanna
awesome.
talk about the date, by the way?
Do I want to talk about the date of it?
Uh-huh, uh-huh.
It's in July.
In July? Oh, okay, we got some time.
It's I got plenty of time. Yeah.
Yeah, you got plenty of time.
I have a 12-week program I'm doing now, and then I'm gonna probably flip flop to something else and then go back to this 12-week program leading up to it.
Sweet,
Yeah.
sweet.
Yeah. So it's a long term, but having that long term plan though, having my a good aim for my workout has bled into other parts of my life, which gets me motivated for other things, which kind of snowballs for me at least, and just gets me motivated. Like kind of that workout for me is like my base and my key to a lot of the other unhealthy things, like especially in the holidays, like the bad food and everything, which I don't necessarily avoid. So having that awesome workout plan during the holiday season really helps me focus and stay motivated.
Yeah, I think it's I mean, for us, obviously, it feels this way much more strongly, but I mean, I've seen it with clients as well. I've seen it with people who adopt like a regular fitness routine that and I used to actually when I talk to people about this, I used to downplay it a little bit because people would talk to me about their goals and their weight loss goals, which ended up being like their body fat goals, which ended up being like their nutrition goals as well. They would talk about like working out over breaks and working out to lose weight and working out to lose body fat. And I would downplay it real hard, and I'd be like, "Yeah, but like kitchen is probably like way more important," you know,
Yeah.
which is true. But I do feel like there's like a minimum dose of movement that can provide like a good filter, if that makes sense, for you to go through the rest of the day with. Like like it basically is like as like what people say alcohol and other drugs do for them is it takes the edge off, you know? Like
Yeah.
there's like a minimum amount I think of movement that if you don't get it, which a lot of people do get it and they don't even know they get it, you know, and then they have that edge off and they can make a little bit healthier decisions, even if they're not like clanging and banging with the weights, you know.
Yeah.
But I think there is like a little bit of movement that's required for people to like be able to make healthy decisions more easily,
Okay.
you know? And you get like diminishing returns pretty quickly because if you work out too much, which I've seen many people do, we're just like, I'm just going to work out off that pizza and work off those holiday things and work out until like I can eat whatever the hell I want.
Right. Right.
Um, and that usually never ends well, I would say.
Yeah, just
Um,
thinking about it, like it seems like that would just be your body turning on its natural instincts. Back in the day, if you were just chilling in the cave doing nothing, then your body isn't going to be working too much. It's going to kind
right,
of be storing everything and not wanting to expend any energy. So
right. And if you do that enough times in a row, you're going to be depressed and
yeah.
anxious and a whole bunch of other things too.
Well, just think of how many systems like kind of change when you're sleeping, and then you never wake anything. If you're never waking those systems up throughout the day, and you're just sitting there, then things like I know there's studies out there that point to like if you're too tired or anything like that, that you crave carbs and you crave bad stuff essentially. You crave the sugars, you crave everything that makes you happy.
Right.
And so well, what I was going basically is you have to you got to make sure that you're realizing this and being aware of all this and just really staying focused on that stuff.
Yeah. No, I just think it's interesting how it changed over time because I used to just like I said, I used to just downplay it. And now I do think there is like a minimum amount, I would say. Most I do I would say maybe not like most 40%, if I had to guess.
Yeah.
I would say like a small majority of the population get just like the bare minimum
Yeah.
maybe of movement where like they're less pissed off, they're less likely to grab that donut. That's or that second donut.
Yeah.
Donuts are going to be my main thing. I miss donuts. I don't get eat donuts that much, honestly.
Oh, really?
I think I would go overboard with donuts still to this day almost. Those
I
were my
usually do. We'll get like I usually am pretty good. I'll have one donut.
yeah.
But my kids are really into sugar, and we tried so hard to not allow it that much. And then
Mhm.
really going into kindergarten has been bad because they do a lot of processed snacks and they
Oh
get
yeah, right.
for free and stuff. And it's hard for I mean Adeline's good. She'll eat a banana or what or like some apples or whatever, and that but she'll also be like, all right, where's my cupcake? And so it's a battle, man. It's tough.
I feel you, man. I feel you. I remember grade school foods and I remember school food just period. I remember all the school. I still am pretty food motivated, I would say. Um
But
uh,
how has that changed from back then to now, though? Food motivation wise, like, how are you still the same guy, or like, do you still have the same tendencies to overeat, and now and then you just realize it really quick, and you're like, oh wait, I'm not going to do this forever. I'm just going to do this for a day, and I'll be good.
I would say, I don't know if it's like ADD brain or like my all over the place way of thinking, but I just most of the time try and set up like my environment as much as possible, I would say.
Yeah,
Um which isn't like locked down in any way. And then that's like number one. But then that doesn't fix everything, basically. And then the other times it's been eating slowly. There's almost like seasons with it, honestly. I have different strategies for different seasons,
sure, sure. I love
crazy
it.
enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, like right now it's eating more slowly, which that's one of the ones that lasts over most seasons as a useful technique,
yeah,
I would say. Other techniques I've used before are like waiting a little bit longer to eat, if I feel hungry, but like I know I've eaten recently, just waiting a little bit longer.
yeah. I love it.
Um I like to do fast. We talked about fast once before.
Yep, yep.
I like to do fast every once in a while,
Okay.
because I feel like that helps reset my like my brain hunger balance, like my ability to perceive hunger
Right, right,
accurately.
right. So
uh
this is awesome though. So you are very aware of what happened, and you've built the systems, and you've built plans around it, and a lot of times you're working on it. Like you're doing a fast,
oh
or
yeah.
you're eating slow or something. So you're what, 17 years or so out from your big transformation,
Yeah,
and
but
you
like,
still have to think about it, right?
oh,
Like
for sure, dude. Because like, as
that's
much as you change, like, unless you just like disappear from like your previous network and way of doing things,
yeah.
there's some grooves that are very well trodden,
Yeah,
in your brain, I would
sure.
say. And those things are like, you can slide down those. I feel like this is why I'm actually into addiction psychology so much. I would honestly say, like, one of the big reasons I'm into addiction psychology so much is because of how parallel it felt to me when I was losing weight, and all
Okay.
the different psychological like strategies I had to
Sure.
use. I would say, because I'm so food motivated, I would say,
Right. Right, right.
without driving myself crazy, without shaming myself and doing all these other things that you see are really unhealthy,
So
basically.
the big lesson is like you don't like change from like the guy who is heavy set and maybe overweight, or and to the guy who is in shape or anything like that. Like you are always working on it forever.
Oh,
And
for sure.
so those habits and everything, that like building these from the beginning is super important, like throughout your whole entire life. I mean, like that, I think that's a big thing for everyone to realize, is that like you're not one or the other. It's like you have to learn yourself and learn these different things to build your life around it, to be able to change and be able to be consistent forever.
Right. And learning things that stick around for a while. Like, you don't need to do a large dosage or a large load all at once to learn something. That's more like cramming for something, like before a test.
Sure.
And if you've ever crammed before a test, the retention is not very good after the test.
Right.
Basically,
Right.
you get to like final exam time and you're screwed. But as someone who used to cram a lot, um, and then I crammed for the final exam.
Or you passed.
but
You're good.
like, to really learn something, and when what you learn is basically like the things that keep you alive and well, like, you gotta do it the way that is the cliche way,
Yeah,
basically, you know.
for sure.
We should have t-shirts. Do it the cliche way.
Do it the cliche way. If most cliche things are true,
I know.
you gotta seize the day, right?
It just I feel like you could have a whole YouTube channel about like really annoying cliches.
I'm sure there is one.
Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. I feel like that's a good part to stop right there. I feel like that's perfect. I
I
feel like
love it. I
we got
love it.
all the good bits in and a good theme at the end there. But like anything else you wanted to say before we stop? Because I feel like
I don't have anything else on motivation and aim. I mean, I think we covered it. I think we
mm-hmm,
covered it. Yeah.
mm-hmm. Talk about I don't know what we're going to talk about next time, but we'll talk about what we're going to talk about next time, maybe next time.
All right. We'll talk about it then.
Yeah. Thanks for listening, everybody. What is we're trying to share things, right? We're trying to say like go check out this, or we're gonna add that later.
That's gonna be on the outro.
Okay, so that'll be on the outro. Peace out.
See ya. And that was the episode. Thanks for listening to our secrets of motivation versus aim.
I know. I love how it's a contradiction. Yes, it's
right. We are super proficient in non-exercise activity. So basically, we're awesome at doing nothing.
Yes. Amazing.